Welcome everyone, I'm Kingly Valence, and thanks for watching this Spore speedrun challenge. Today, we are beating Spore, but we can only use nukes during civilization stage. This is actually a bit harder than it sounds, and to make this challenge even more difficult, we're playing on hard difficulty like usual, but we're also including the Civ Insanity mod again to make civilization stage even crazier. This mod increases the number of cities that will spawn on the planet, and makes rival cities more aggressive. And we're including a second mod that will guarantee make all the rival cities military as well. We're also starting as military, so all the major nations will already start at war with us, and another honor rule is, we're not allowing ourselves to stop any wars either. We're only using nukes to capture cities this run, so we can only use our vehicles to gather resources and for defense. They're not allowed to attack another city. We'll be completely turtling as a nation, but when we attack, we'll take down anyone in one shot. The other nations are spawning in, and we got two smaller nations right next to us, with even more nations to the south, and a large angry red nation right here as well. The start of a Civ Insanity run is the most critical, as the other extra aggressive nations try to take us down right away, and they all advance a lot faster than normal, so we need to build our city as quickly as possible to stay alive. Scouting around, and including us, 4 of the 5 large nations are on our home continent, so it's very crowded over here. And Blue Nation is already attacking our Spice Geyser, and even though we have very limited money, we need to spend it on a second defensive tank to keep our Spice Geyser. Our vehicles also won't go around capturing other nations' Spice Geysers. The only offense we can do is through the use of nukes. But normally, we don't have nukes available until we control 4 total cities. But in this timeline, our people's got that uranium fever, and their goal and singular focus is to develop and harness the power of the atom as quickly as possible. To make that work here in-game, we can use the Unlock Super Weapons cheat, which will unlock the Gadget Bomb and ICBM. The cheat technically makes them free as well, but will still follow the normal Spore rules that the Gadget Bomb still costs 16,000 Spore bucks and has a 5-minute cooldown. So the only difference is that we will have the nukes ready now, but we have a long way to go to afford our first nuke, and right now we are stuck on defense, as multiple nations are attacking our one and only city. Crimson, Forest, and Blue nations have already captured their first cities, and are on the move towards us. And Forest captured one of our close neighboring cities, and that allows them to deploy vehicles right next to us and attack. However, thankfully, they seem to want to capture our close Cyan neighbor to the north first, so hopefully we can defend Cyan to keep Forest at bay. Even though everyone is military on this planet, the small cities are still pretty weak, especially compared to the buffed up large nations, so Cyan will fall quickly if we don't help them. Then everyone will likely set their sights on us. Now Red Nation is on the board with their first capture, and Red is attacking us as well. We have just enough money to afford a couple of turrets to barely survive. But this is my favorite part of Civilization stage, the just starting out and on the complete back foot and barely keeping our head above water fending off these attacks. And I really like how the Civ Insanity mod really expands on this early desperation phase of Civilization stage. And thanks to our close neighbors, this drew a lot of extra attention over to us as well, as Red Nation also wants a shot at the Cyan city. Don't worry, Cyan, we'll help you out as soon as we can take care of our own attackers too. But Cyan's being a great buffer for us. But unfortunately, the red tanks are too far away from our turrets, and Red was able to capture. And now we're surrounded on both sides by Red and Forest nations right next to our city. And if that wasn't enough, Blue also made the trip all the way over here just to remind us they can attack us too. But it looks like the large red tank army is still more interested in the other nations before us at the moment. So this will give us the crucial time we need to fortify and buy all the turrets for our city. Red captured another city, and 3 other nations already have airplanes before we've even finished filling out our first city. Ironically, using tanks at this point would have been pretty easy for us to take over our 2 close neighboring cities, but instead we have enough money to fire our first nuke. Who's going to be our first victim? The Gadget Bomb can take down any city of any size, so let's find the biggest kid on the block and show them who's boss. And Red Nations had it too good for too long. Nuke deployed. And here it comes, and boom. And we took the city. And if everyone wasn't at war with us before, they definitely are now. Using nukes in Spore is very powerful, but they come with a big disadvantage after using one. The city now has a bunch of radioactive piles where some of the buildings were, and we can't place any new buildings in these spots. This really limits the number of buildings and the amount of money we can make from this city. This large city has been effectively turned into a small city with only a few building slots, so this doesn't help us too much in affording another nuke. And all the other nations get an additional -90 relationship for using nuclear weapons, so there's no chance healing these relationships even if we wanted to. But we need to waste 16,000 Spore bucks to pay for the Gadget Bomb. So we can buy and immediately sell a bunch of vehicles while the game is paused. Buying a tank, then immediately selling it will lose us 500 Spore bucks per vehicle. So doing this enough times will pay for our gadget bomb debt. I found afterwards that we could have also used Cheat Engine to just manually change the Spore buck count to whatever we wanted as well. For example, setting Cheat Engine to search for a float value, searching for our current Spore bucks, then changing the count and searching for it again, and this will find the address that controls the value really quickly. It usually comes up in just 2 or 3 searches. But the buying and selling vehicle strategy will work fine for this honor roll today. And we were also on a 5-minute cooldown for our next nuke. And we probably could have waited a bit longer before launching our first nuke to make sure we had enough money in the bank to afford the rest of the turrets for our new city, but this keeps us from being too overpowered. Also interesting, we captured the Spice Geyser with the gadget bomb as well. That's convenient, we got it for free along with the city, but that would have been funny to use an entire nuke just to capture the Spice Geyser. Red Nation is significantly weaker now after nuking their home city, and Forest Nation is about to be eliminated as well, so it looks like Blue and Crimson will be the dominant nations on the planet. From here, we just need to turtle a bit more to afford the next nuke, and we're not done picking on Red Nation just yet. Red has 2 cities very close together that are both just begging to be hit by a single nuke. Cities don't normally spawn this close together without the Civ Insanity mod, so I wonder what will happen when we target the gadget bomb right in between them. Will they both get destroyed? Can we capture them both at the same time? Alright, turn the key and press the big red button. Nukes away! And they both get hit, but we only captured one of them. But we can still see the other city up in flames behind. But this makes sense, as we've seen what happens when 2 sets of vehicles try to capture 2 different cities at the exact same time. Only one city gets captured, and we know it was at the same time, because the other city gets in a weird glitch state, but resetting the attack will capture it immediately. But at least we got some collateral damage on the second red city with that nuke. Now paying for that nuke as well, we went from around 20,000 to just under 4,000 Spore bucks. And in this city, we only get 2 building slots. But thankfully we always get all the turret slots available. Also interesting, we can't remove our radioactive piles, but the rival cities can. This might have been unintentional, but here Red has 2 radioactive piles right next to each other, but when Red places a new building, they actually replace the piles. The radioactive piles do appear to last forever for us, or at least a lot longer than it will take for us to beat Civilization stage. But they will get cleaned up pretty quickly when making it into Space stage. Our cleanup technology must be better once we reach space. And here now Red has a completely cleaned up city, when our piles are still present. And now we can start consolidating our close neighboring cities into our one big super city, being careful to target the nuke just to the side of the city, where it will still capture but not hit us, and there's another city instantly destroyed. Waste at least 16,000 Spore bucks again, and Crimson is now fully attacking our small city. But thanks to our 2 conjoined cities worth of turrets, we fended them off. But we only get 1 building slot for a single factory in this city. Crimson recaptured the southern city from Blue, and now is heading to one of Blue's large cities, thankfully leaving us alone to nuke another city. And now we gained the last part of our triple city. If it wasn't for the nuclear piles in these small cities, this triple combo city would be the biggest metropolis ever in Spore. But still putting in 5 more turrets, we have this entire ring around these cities defended. I was also trying to give the rival cities a better chance by not just targeting all the large cities first, after taking Reds initially, which is why I was only going for the small cities nearby for now. But they're mostly interested in attacking each other, even with the extra aggression from the mod. And Blue Nation is down to negative 396 relationship with us for being a threat, using nuclear weapons, and attacking them. I can't make them much angrier from here. Oh, here we go. Blue is on the move. That's a pretty big airplane fleet. Hopefully we're ready for this. And thankfully they fly right over the top of all my controlled airspace to get to the southern small city. This leaves their planes weak for my turrets and defending vehicles to stop them no problem. Blue and Crimson are splitting their attention a little too much, so trying to make this even more difficult from here, let's try to purposefully remove the smaller remaining nations, so we have to deal with the full power of one final remaining nation. So cleaning up poor Red Nation with our next nuke, and with Blue being the next smallest nation, let's load up another nuke for them as well. This will leave just Crimson Nation, who currently look like the most powerful rival nation. And Crimson, after taking more Blue cities as well. Crimson now looks like they're heading towards us. That's quite an intimidating air force right there. I guess that's how the rival nations usually feel, when we send a huge plane armada at them. Alright, bring it on. Whoa, that's actually really quick on destroying that turret, help! Thankfully, as the player nation, we can just replace the turrets immediately, and we have lots of money for some extra vehicles. Nice, we fended off Crimson as well. No one can get past our triple stronghold. And to celebrate, we got another nuke ready for Blue Nation. Now it's just us and Crimson Nation left. And wow, this city won't let us place any new buildings at all. This city is completely radioactive. This city, I guess, will just be entirely turrets. Alright, Crimson, show me what you got. Can you take us down with airplanes before we get enough nukes? Oh, there we go, another Crimson fleet. And nope, not a chance. They can't stop us now. And I think they'll only send these smaller waves from here. They only seem to get those big armadas when they take a really long time to take over a different rival city, and that allows them to keep accumulating more airplanes for a large initial attack on the next city. But if we can hold out from here, it's looking pretty good for us. And after a couple more tries, Crimson Nation can't get through our defenses anymore, and to celebrate again, we can start a nuclear winter by launching 7 ICBMs at the remaining cities, securing our victory. And that civilization stage beaten by only using nukes to capture all the other cities in just over an hour. This was more difficult than just attacking with vehicles normally, and with Civ Insanity plus the all-military cities, this made for a good challenge. I really enjoy these civilization stage challenges, and let me know if you can think of any more ways to make civilization stage even harder. And I always thought it'd be fun if anyone has like a nearly doomed civilization stage save that feels like it's impossible to beat. I'd love to give it a shot to see if I can recover it. I think that would be really fun. And let me know any other Spore or Civilization Stage challenges you'd like to see me try in the future. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm Kingly Valence, and I'll see you next time.